So in lesson number 6, we learned about loyalty tax. Well, lesson number 7 is a direct flow-on effect from that. We're talking about retention teams. Now, we've understood right from lesson number 1 the importance of profitability, and the longer that you stay as a borrower with that lender, the more profit that they make from you. So the lender's retention teams or the bank's retention team's job is to try and retain you. And what I was telling you about in lesson number 6 about loyalty tax and taking action, well, lesson number 7 is about picking up the phone or talking to your bank about getting a better deal and the best ways to go about that. So this lesson could save you thousands. Now, what am I talking about? What do they do? Their job is when people ring, they are potentially going to do some pricing. So I'll take you through the process in a moment. And there's other information that we're also going to be coaching you in this particular video presentation in terms of how might they know you are serious. So there's a couple of things that I want to make mention to you. So let's jump over and have a look at a diagram that I've built that will allow you to understand what's happening here. So what we've got is here we are as the customer. Okay, now we're mortgage customers of this bank, okay, and we ring the customer service team. So this is what most people will tell you to do, is ring the home loan centre and say, hey, I just want to see whether I could get a better price on my existing mortgage. Now, this team are trained to have a look on their system, and potentially there may be a pricing point that they can go to straight away. So they'll go to that team and they'll do what's called the first pricing offer. Now, the first pricing offer is what they're delegated to actually authorise. This is what they can offer you. And most people finish at that point. So what they're doing is say, yes, oh no, definitely we can bring that down by 20 basis points. And potentially they're also incentivised to make that discount as low as possible. Because remember, ultimately that bank needs to make that profitability to also pay wages for those people who work in the bank as well. So that is what's called the first price offer. Now, that comes back and a lot of people go, oh yeah, thank you, that's great, and they feel like the job is done. Now, in addition to that, there's also what's referred to as a retention team. This is the bean counters. These are the people who are potentially going to also override that decision. So their authority in terms of about that customer potentially leaving the bank starts to kick in. So if you as a family or as a borrower then get your mortgage broker to do all the detective work and find a potential better deal, or you want to do the detective work yourself, you can go off and do that type of work. Now you might arm yourself with some of that information, and effectively you go back to the customer service centre and say, hey listen, I can see some better deals out there, and remember, we've learned about the advertised rate. They aren't necessarily the best rates out there, so that's not necessarily the most competitive, but you're offering those rates, and they know they've got pricing teams. That's their full-time job in terms of who's offering what deals, and they're part of their competitive strategy to help maintain or grow their loan books. So this retention team is potentially where it goes to if it's outside their authority, and so they can potentially do a slightly better deal again in terms of that. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. If you've gone to see a broker or you've gone to see another lender and they've asked you to sign the discharge form. Now, a discharge form is a form that releases or it notifies the bank that you're prepared to discharge that mortgage by bringing a new mortgage in and taking that old mortgage off the property. So that is obviously a very, very clear indication that you are serious about potentially leaving the bank. And I call this the save team. So ultimately that discharge form has to be sent to the bank, and that is then made aware of the team whose job is to try and contact you and convince you to stay. Now, the question there is, well, why didn't you give me a better deal before I did do all this shopping around? So you might still vote with your feet and say, I wish you had have done something more for me. In terms of that, and that's an important point. So by sending out that discharge form, what's coming back here is what might be that final offer. And you may ultimately then choose to stay with that particular lender. Now that lending team might be working out just how serious you are And there are other little tricks of the trade in terms of what that might look like. So if I go back into our whiteboard or blackboard here, you can see they might know that you're serious. One is through that discharge form, but two is also potentially through the checking of what you've been doing on your internet banking. Because when you go to a new lender, you normally have to show at least 3 months minimum spending pattern statements or bank statements to see the conduct of your loan. So if they've seen that you've downloaded those PDFs from their platform, from their banking platform, then they really do know that you could be very, very serious about leaving them. So big story here, very important message. Pick up the phone, start that first conversation, or better still, cut through all of that mess and go straight to a broker, and you'll probably find yourself getting a better deal and also potentially getting your own personal banker who can do this for you on a semi-regular basis as you need to as the market changes. So that is lesson number 7 when it comes to bank retention teams. Our job is to compete with them, negotiate with them, or potentially still move on to a better lender where we're going to get a better pricing and a better opportunity. Thanks for watching lesson 7. We've got lesson 8 to come. So thanks for watching that educational session. As you know, I'm passionate about this stuff and I really do want to see you take action. Now, whether you do that yourself, that's fine. But if you do need help, I am super proud of our mortgage team here at Empower Wealth, and they would love to help you. They are helping thousands of people every year just like you. They're multi-award winning. We've won customer service awards and national awards for the work that we do. So I know that they will be able to look after you. So leave your details below, but please make sure you do something with this information and knowledge that you've just learned about. Now let's get into the next episode.